We're going to reassemble the clutch. So I need to put my inside seal back in so that I have something to seal fluid from leaking past the piston on the inside. And you can see inside of the piston it's nice and smooth, so that would be sealing up against this O-ring. You're never going to see an O-ring on a moving component as far as spinning goes. If it's just applying and disengaging, O-rings are fine, but if it's spinning, it'd wipe an O-ring out pretty dang quick. So that one's installed. Make sure it's not poking out. Make sure it feels nice and smooth. Usually I like to lubricate it with a little transmission fluid. These are a little bit slippery already, so we're okay. Now I gotta put my outer piston seal on. And I wanna make sure that the area that's puffed out is facing towards where the fluid will be. So when the fluid is applied to engage my piston, it puffs out up against the walls and seals even better. So we'll put that on now. Alright, so that's installed. Work around the whole thing, make sure it's nice and seated, make sure there aren't any issues. And then make sure my ring is installed before I put this back in. Now there's an issue when we go to reinstall pistons. Oftentimes this piece will try to catch and bend out like this. So sometimes you can get lucky. Let's see, we'll try it. And just push it in. Well, this time it started to go in, but it looks like only half of it made it. See how I'm being caught up here on the top? So they make high-dollar fancy piston installation tools, which if it's a Ford transmission you should have access to, seeing as they're essential service tools. But this is just overhead projector sheets. So transparencies is another name for it. Old microfiche. I had an old wise transmission tech that taught me this trick. So these will go in and they're very thin and nice and slippery. And I'm just trying to make a circle, kind of almost like a funnel for my piston. And they're sitting all the way down the very bottom here. And that will make it so that my seal can't fold out and catch the edges. So let's see if we get lucky this time. I start working in, and as soon as it seems like the piston is past the difficulties, I'll pull these out because it will start to get pretty tight once that's all the way in. And then we'll seat it, and there you go, we're all the way in. Now I gotta put my return spring in, and luckily we can always check for things like witness marks where that was pushing up against this ring here, so that's helpful. But also what I can do is think about how this works. The land for my snap ring is right here, and that's above the level of my piston. So if this is supposed to return the piston, you would want the dish to be lower than where the ring seats it, basically, or locates it. If it was this way, it would never push down on the piston. It would like push up against my clutches and keep those applied all the time, which is not what we want. So it's gonna go in like a bowl. Now I gotta put my snap ring in. But the issue with that is, look at this guy's sitting way up above where that snap ring goes. So special tool time. Try to have it as centered as possible. Try to get the feet out as far as I can, but all these things are just kind of learned in time. See if that's enough. I feel luckier on one side than the other, but lucky is as lucky is. let's see what happens. We're starting to go. Looks like I need to try to tighten it up a little bit more. I don't got much more in it. So where I've got some of this in there, let's see. What I can do sometimes is go along with my pry bar, help force it into place. That seems to be working okay. Better in some spots than in others, but still better than nothing. There we go, and we got it. Just had to give it a little bit of coercion, but it started to cooperate sooner or later. Loosen the tool back up. I can get to stacking. All I did was just take everything that's in there, flip it upside down. Everybody has their own way of doing it, but this is that dished steel. Pretty unique. That'll go in first, and the steels look like they're locating to the inside of this clutch assembly. Get them lined up. The clutch, you just throw that thing in there like a hot dog down the hallway. Steel, clutch, steel, clutch. Steel, and you see how every single one of these clutch materials has some flat object to push up against. So there's a steel. Before I make it to this wave style cushion spring, because this would not be a good contact for my clutch material. It would only wear out in the high spots there. My selective pressure plate. And last, but definitely not least, the snap ring. The snap ring is what holds that pressure plate in, so it has to be able to hold all the pressure of the applied piston, which can be a fair amount. We're talking 100 pounds easy. And this is applied. The next step will be check clearance.